The Steelers may have found Pickens' replacement. Is it an upgrade? Big Deep News. Ayuk, Sutton, Devontae Adams, Kupp, and now Olave. Is this just another Steelers wide receiver trade rumor that we talk about for the upcoming weeks and months, and then it ultimately doesn't happen? Or will something actually get done, like the DK Metcalf trade? The Olave rumors all started on Friday when 93.7 The Fans, Adam Crowley name-dropped Olave as a name that the Steelers are looking into. Another Steelers reporter, Nick Farabaugh, also confirmed the Olave interest by saying, sources tell Penn Live that the Steelers have called the Saints to check on Olave's availability. The Steelers are interested in the 24-year-old, but sources describe that call as a due diligence call. Okay, cool. Now what? How interested are the Saints really in trading Chris Olave? Because their roster kind of sucks, and they don't really have anyone else as close to as good as Olave in their receiver room. New coach in Kellen Moore. Derek Carr retired. They drafted Shuck in the second round. Where are they at? Are they trying to just go full rebuild and tank this year and look more into the future? Or are they starting that building process now in 2025 after drafting Shuck in the second round? My guess is it would be the latter, that they're going to try to give Shuck the best chance possible to actually be something, give him the full arsenal and weapons at his disposal, and actually maybe try to make some noise and low-key compete in this weak NFC South for 2025. That would be my guess as to what they'd be doing. But for the Steelers, an Olave trade would be dope. There is some risk with him because of his concussion history. I think he has 4 total up to this point in his pro career. And the most recent one in 2024 shut him down for the whole second half. Despite the injuries, though, he's productive. 2 1,000-yard seasons to start off, first 2 years in the NFL. And that's all while dealing with some shoddy quarterback play, having Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, then Derek Carr for some of that. And then last year, after Carr went down, you got Spencer Rattler, although Olave wasn't even out there for the full season either. But you have no drama. You have no off-the-field stuff with him, no character concerns. And as a receiver, very smooth route runner, top-end speed, and he's versatile. You could line him up all over the field, slot, outside, whatever it is. So when you add up all the pluses that Olave brings to the table and consider some of the injury concerns, I think the overall, when you do the math, the risk in trading for Olave would be worth it for the Steelers. I think he's way more of a net positive than just looking at some of the negative stuff or some of the injury concerns. And it doesn't seem like Olave is demanding a long-term extension right now, even though he is eligible. And the Saints already picked up his 5th-year option, which is only $15.4 million. So if you're the Steelers and trade for Olave, you have him at below market rate for these next 2 seasons before even having to make a long-term commitment to him. But if he balls out for you in 2025 and wants an extension next year, okay, cool. I think that's a really good problem to have. I don't think the Steelers have an issue with paying 2 big-time receivers. It's just we want to make sure the fit is right, and clearly we didn't think that was the case with George Pickens. Now, what would it take to get Olave? We just got a 3rd rounder for Pickens, and a lot of people have said after the fact that the 3rd was kind of a high-end offer for him. A lot of other teams that the Steelers called laughed at the thought of trading for Pickens. Like, they wouldn't have given up anything close to a 3rd. It would have been a late-round pick, like a 6th or 7th, I'm assuming. And if you look at GP and Olave right now from a status standpoint, I think they're in the same tier. They're at the same level. Olave, less volatile. I think Pickens is healthier, has way more upside. But they're about in the same spot. I think they're in the same category, both 3 years in the league. Now, the 5th-year option with Olave being a first-round pick is an added wrinkle to him and what his value is. But I think a 3rd rounder would be fair. If Pickens went for a 3rd rounder, I think a 3rd rounder for Olave would be fair. But a 2nd rounder would be more likely to have the Saints move off of Olave just because it doesn't really seem they're that eager to be trading him. Where I think it's a different case with the Steelers. We were very much willing to move off of Pickens. So second round pick, I think that could get it done. And if the Steelers ultimately did give that up for Olave, I would be good with it. I would give my stamp of approval. But it doesn't seem like anything is imminent right now. So this may be another thing that we talk about ad nauseum for the next couple months until the Steelers actually do make a move and add to this receiver room after trading Pickens. So there's that. Let me know your thoughts, though, about potentially trading for Chris Olave. What do you think it would take? Would you do it? Do you think he's one of the top options out there? Is he the best option when you compare him to the other trade candidates or even the guys that are in free agency? But real quick, before we sign off, wanted to go over some Rodgers stuff. Ian O'Connor, who was the author of the Aaron Rodgers biography, Out of Darkness, went on 93.7 The Fan last Friday and offered, from my perspective, I thought some unique insight regarding Rodgers' timeline and where the quarterback is most likely from a mentality standpoint and his desire to play football for 2025. Take a listen.
He said on McAfee's show that there were personal things going on with his life that delayed him signing with any NFL team. You talked to probably several members of Aaron Rodgers' past and maybe present personal connections to write this book. What did you infer? What did you take from him saying that, Ian?
So I'm not doing the consistent day-to-day reporting on his life that I did when I talked to 250 people in doing that book. But I have occasionally reached out, and the sense I got was I think I have a pretty good sense of what it is, and I don't think it's something that would prevent him from playing football. I just think verbally, behind the scenes, not that he guaranteed it, but he's told them, listen, I'm going to play for you, okay? I just don't want to go there and then miss part of mandatory minicamp because of my personal issues. I'm pretty sure they're going to be solved by the end of May, at least to my satisfaction, where I can give you my all. So that's where I think it is, and I think there's no way the Steelers would have waited until Will Howard late in the draft to address that position if they didn't know that it was virtually a guarantee that Rodgers would sign with them. And I actually think that as seriously as people in Pittsburgh take football, that they're going to enjoy Aaron Rodgers because I think he will concentrate on the field. He knows this is his last chance to get back to a Super Bowl. He knows it was an embarrassment in New York largely, and he's the face of that embarrassment, whether that's fair or not. That's the case. So I actually think this is – it may be me as an optimist, but I think this is going to work out. Do I think the Steelers will win the Super Bowl next year? No. But if you told me 11-6 with at least one playoff victory, the first with that franchise since, 2016?
Yep.
I think that's realistic.
I know not a lot of people have access to Rodgers, and O'Connor isn't talking to him directly, but he knows and has talked to a lot of people that are close to Rodgers because obviously he had to do that to write the book. This is the first time we've heard of any sort of like time frame related to Rodgers behind the scenes stuff, because when he went on McAfee, it just seemed pretty open-ended whenever he was talking about personal issues. You didn't know how long it was going to take for that stuff to resolve, and you didn't know how much that was going to affect his decision to ultimately play football for this upcoming season. And according to O'Connor, it seems like May is when things will come to a close, and it shouldn't affect Rodgers' decision to play this season or whether or not he wants to play. So I think Rodgers to the Steelers is happening. I think it's just happening. I think too many people of note are basically saying it's a done deal. And a lot of these people have been saying it for most of the offseason, but Kaboli and Dulac recently came out and said it's like a 90 to 99% chance that this is a done deal. So I think we know what's really going on at this point. Whenever you add up everything that's taken place over the last couple months, Rodgers gave the indication to the Steelers that he wants to play here. He just can't commit to the offseason just yet because of some of the personal stuff that's going on. And he didn't want a repeat of last year. So if he would have signed last month and he still has some of this other stuff going on behind the scenes that he has to pay attention to, and was going to miss maybe OTAs or minicamp. He didn't want the drama popping up again, just like last year with the Jets and his trip to Egypt, because there's nothing to criticize if you don't show up while you're not employed by the team, right? If you're not employed by a team, you don't have to do anything. Aaron Rodgers is a free agent. So I think Rodgers to the Steelers is happening. Matter of when, not if. Dude wants to play football. I think that's been clear. Not only, like, if you go back to when he initially signed with the Jets and you hear how he was talking, he was talking about trying to play another, 3-4 years. And then you see how this season ended with the Jets and the talks and conversations he was having at the end of the season. It was clear that he was interested in playing football. He would have wanted to run it back with the Jets. They didn't want him, so he's a free agent. And he doesn't have ties to any of these other teams. He doesn't have any loyalties to any of these other teams right now. So he could do what he wants, take care of his business on the behind-the-scenes front. And then, if he wants to play football, clearly the Steelers are the most feasible option. The interest has been there from the start of free agency, and that's where all signs are pointing. So it's going to happen. My money's on it, literally, because I do have money on the Steelers over-under. Now, that's less related to Aaron Rodgers and more about Tomlin has not had a season under 500. So, I'm going to bet us over 8.5 wins. I'm just going to do it until Tomlin proves me wrong on that. That's going to be the yearly bet. And then I also got, I think I said this on one of these shows a couple months ago, I got Rodgers for MVP. So there you go. That's the latest on Rodgers, though, in the time frame. I thought it was a unique standpoint or a unique perspective that we really haven't heard yet. So that's it for today's show on the Olave trade stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and any other Rodgers thoughts, go ahead. Stay chilling. Here we go, Steelers. Peace.